Is your relationship feeling a bit strange or strained even? Don't worry, you're not on your own because be warned, January is a very difficult month for relationships. Now, you might have heard me say that before. I'm Grace Chatting, and I'm a psychotherapist and a family mediator and a relationship coach. And over decades of working with troubled couples, I can tell you that this is one of the most difficult months of the year, especially for those who have actually been together for quite a long time when they've started to take each other for granted. But why is January such a difficult time? Well, it's the pressures of a number of things coming together. One is New Year's resolutions. People kind of wait until the holiday is over and get into January, and they're either going on a diet, getting into shape, they're going to the gym, they set these New Year resolutions or even goal setting. It's similar. And there's a lot of post-holiday stress. It's getting back to work and getting back to the routine, getting children back to school, reflecting on almost inevitable family disagreements over the holiday, you know, even unspoken disagreements, disapproval, and just tension amongst family members, and thinking that over, often feeling a bit torn between, you know, the mother-in-law and the partner. So in this video, I'm just going to run through very quickly the top uh, most usual sources of conflict. So one is about the New Year's resolutions, and partners can feel under pressure to align with their partner's goals and expectations, like for the diet, changes of food, for the exercise, time going to the gym or out for runs. And it's just a common issue that individual goals clash with shared ones. And there can be a misalignment that goes on because people are not mind readers, but they forget that their partner's not a mind reader. So how do you overcome it? The best way to overcome it is to arrange a time to sit down and have a conversation in a relaxed kind of a way. Just carve out an hour, make time, or go for a walk and have a chat about what changes you would like to instigate over the next year, and discuss it with each other as allies. How can you help each other? Become a team working together to support each other in achieving and reaching your goals. And if your goals or aspirations or resolutions seem to be in conflict or clash, as opposed to getting oppositional about it, I suggest that you carry on discussing it and look at it not as a problem or a difficulty, but just something and an opportunity to enhance your negotiation skills and negotiate. How can you reach a win-win solution so you can both um, feel able to reach your goals or aspirations, but feel supported in doing that and actually be operating as a team as opposed to pulling away from each other. So that's mainly the most current one at the moment. The second, I would say, is the vast majority of couples, certainly the couples that I've seen over decades, um, is their attachment styles. Actually, most individuals, uh, either they don't know anything about attachment styles, or if they do, it's vague. They have never really sussed out what their particular attachment style is, and certainly they don't know what their partner's attachment style is. So rather than go into that here, I suggest that you go and find my video on the different attachment styles and how they impact on relationships, because often people don't mean to be conflicted or negative or oppositional. It's just you've got different attachment styles. And if you understand that, it really makes a difference. Because, a secure attachment style, there's no issue. Insecure attachment styles can result in emotional distancing or being clingy. And if you get two people where one is emotionally distancing and the other one's a bit clingy, that can cause tension in the relationship. So, how do you overcome it? Well, as I've said, learn about your own and the other's attachment styles. Really, if you've been, partners for a number of years, you should know this by now. But that's okay, better late than never. But actually, it'll throw some light on a whole lot of ways that you interact with each other. And I would say also decide, this is it's an opportunity to learn about a bit more about yourselves and about each other. And so just practice a bit of empathy about understanding each other's needs, as opposed to like just being frustrated that your needs are not being met. So that is a milestone in your relationship. The third biggest thing, I think, is, we can all be very quick to see our partner's shortcomings and we have an urge to fix them. But acceptance and being accepted as you are and accepting your partner as he or she is a cornerstone of relationships and successful relationships, and it does foster a deeper connection. So the common issue around that is that if with new resolutions and things, if there's unrealistic expectations, you can feel a lack of support or a lack of appreciation. So how do you overcome it? Well, first of all, as I've said, find out about your attachment styles, have a conversation and discuss what you need and want, and be clear about what kind of support or help that you need. And focus on gratitude and acknowledge the positive traits of your partner. And actually, bring that into your conversation. What you really appreciate about your partner. I would suggest, if you haven't already done so, to go find my video on the daily temperature reading, which is a 5-minute exercise to do every day. And it is very, very connecting, and it includes the expression of appreciation for each other. And everybody that I've ever gone through that with has felt much better for it, and their relationship improves. And it's such a simple and short thing to do. And the other thing I would say to you is balance acceptance and accountability. So whatever you agree together and whatever the expectations are that you set, I would encourage you to decide and set the intention to be accepting of each other, but also to help, like like a coach would, to build in some accountability to help each of you achieve your goals and aspirations. Another reason why there's a lot more tension around, apart from the reasons I've already given, all the expectations and the fallout from the holiday and the stress of getting back to normal, effective communication. Couples, some of you may be new to relationships, some of you may be in a fairly new relationship, some of you may have had several long-term relationships, and you're at different stages and levels of maturity and ability to communicate. So we can always improve our communication. So one of the causes of increased tension this time of the year is, against a stressed background, our communication can get rushed. And, for those of you who know NLP, often people, without realizing it, speak in terms of deletions, distortions, and generalizations. They think they've communicated something clearly, when actually, without realizing it, they've left out chunks of information, and they expect that their partner uh, understands and knows exactly what they mean when they don't. And it's not about anybody being right or wrong or good or bad. It's just you haven't developed really good communication skills, and therefore there's conflict, and you haven't really matured and developed conflict resolution skills. So, how do you overcome this? Well, I would say if you watch my video on assertive communication, it's a DESC. So, just quickly going over it, it's a short little formula where you get into the way and you practice assertive communication, which is not criticizing, it's not blaming, it's not finding fault, it's just clear communication. Where the DESC, the D is for describe the situation, the E is to express how you feel, the S is to specify what you want, and the C is consequences. So watch the video for a fuller explanation of that, but it can save any amount of conflict and misunderstanding to get used to using that. And the other thing about it is, it's a really, really good way of role modeling for your children how to grow up and become good communicators. If you take the time to learn that short little skill, look, most of you watching this will have spent endless hours learning how to drive, paying good money to driving school to teach you how to do it. You took the time, you invested the time, the energy, the headspace, the money in practicing it. And actually, think how ridiculous it is that people don't invest maybe even half an hour or an hour with each other to practice as a couple how to engage in effective communication, and to know that they are role modeling that for their children. So the other way of practicing that is to schedule regular check-ins, and I suggest the daily temperature reading that I've already mentioned, to watch that video, to watch the DESC, but also the weekly business meeting, to watch the video on that. These are all things that are in my book. So can it be mended before it's ended? Because the other thing about January is masses of people are applying for divorce. This is the month of the year when there are most applications in for divorce. And I've written a book called Can It Be Mended Before It's Ended? And all of these things that I'm telling you about are, in more detail in the book. And you'll find on YouTube that there's a lot of videos explaining these things in more detail. So this is a moment that I'd like to take to encourage you. If you're finding this helpful, please click like, become a subscriber, because that does really help me. If you click subscribe, and you'll get more of my communications. So thank you for that. The fifth source of tension with couples, and that's trying to balance personal growth and relationship goals, because the new year often inspires people to you know, self-improvement efforts. And that can leave couples feeling a bit disconnected if they haven't had time to properly communicate that. It's a bit like the New Year resolution. So another effect of the different resolutions and not really communicating clearly with each other about those and the expectations of each other and maybe being out of alignment. A common issue is feeling neglected and feeling unsupported. So we have talked about um, offering each other support, but because you're busy, you do actually need to make the time for the communication and the negotiation, um, and actually sharing your aspirations with each other. So I'm kind of reiterating that a bit. But the important thing is, so that you don't feel neglected by each other, is to set shared goals. So as a couple, Alan and I, at the beginning of every year, we look at each quarter and we factor in right at the beginning holidays that we'll have, breaks away that we'll have, downtime that we'll have, and we always factor in on a daily basis and on a weekly basis um, one-to-one time with each other, because we're busy. We see lots of people day to day in the course of our work, but we know what keeps us grounded and keeps us yeah, no, so we don't become anxious and feeling disconnected. We have very explicit couple time together, and there's plenty of wiggle room in it, but we know we've got it, and we know we can have that if and when we need it, and we do feel supported. So the other thing I would suggest is share your wins with each other, and support your partner's growth, and give each other encouragement. That's all very, very important. So what else? Something else. How do you cope with the post-holiday stress? Because if you've got children, they've got their stresses as well, starting back to school. But in the backdrop for all that is the financial strain that many people feel, and especially in the current economic climate, um, there is a financial strain for many people. And actually, it is a time when you get a lot of quarterly and monthly bills come in. So many people also have seasonal affective disorder, especially here in the UK. I have a lot of people saying how down they feel because it's so dark for so long and not much light. So it's dark in the morning when they're going out to work, and it's dark in the early evening when they're coming home. So it just feels that all their leisure time it's dark. Um, so actually, it's a good idea in the winter to winter, and cut down your outdoor commitments as much as possible, and not have to be out running about, driving about in the rain and the wind and the storms and all the rest of it, because external stressors do lead to irritability and withdrawal in the relationship when it's stacked with all the other holiday stress or post-holiday stress. So how do you overcome that? Well, as I say, cut down the out there commitments as much as possible, and engage in stress relief activities. So you can practice mindfulness, relaxation techniques, but also it's a good idea if you do the weekly business meeting. Included in that, it's only 1 hour meeting to discuss the business of your relationship, and that can there's a finances in amongst that, and you can factor in a discussion about finances if there is financial stress or worry. So rather than bring it up at the wrong time or an inconvenient time, have in the weekly business meeting, there's an opportunity to flag up anything that's troubling or bothering you. And you know what they say, a trouble shared is a trouble halved. Rekindling intimacy. After the excitement of the holidays, many couples find that they are um, really tired, and there's all the other reasons that I've already given you. They're tired, and their emotional and physical intimacy is kind of a bit on the ebb, and they feel emotionally disconnected, or if it's year in, year out, they've been together for a long time, they kind of get a bit stuck in a routine, and they can start to feel, is this it? Is this what life's all about? So I would encourage you to do watch the videos I've flagged up to you, but the daily temperature reading includes just a short, brief expression of gratitude, of appreciation, and highlighting what you appreciate about your partner. It might be the only little lift that they get all day, and you too. So it's a really, really lovely little practice. It doesn't take long and it makes such a difference. So express gratitude, express appreciation. It doesn't cost anything and very little time or money. And I would say also, it seems a bit cliche to say to plan date nights, but do make plans for some having an adventure. Plan an adventure for the year. Um, and there's an excellent book that I've done a review on by John and Julia Gottman called It Dates. And I would encourage you to read the book, or you can watch the video review of the book and get some ideas for how to liven up your relationship, and don't let it get boring. It'll only get boring if you let it get boring. So this is you kind of keeping it light, but actually taking some action. So the other thing is that becomes a source of tension is those lingering things from the holiday, the conflicts between mother-in-law and your partner, and family members, or disagreements, or things where somebody felt offended. There's always somebody in a large group, somebody feels offended by somebody else, often for no good reason, where no offense was intended, but it does often happen that somebody does feel offended by somebody, and that leaves other people feeling a bit tense afterwards and after the holiday. So unresolved issues and unmet expectations also from the previous year often resurface in January, and people think, all right, here we are, another year like this. So it is a common issue. I have found it in my mediation, where people are just waiting to see, oh, is it going to be another year of this? So some people have difficulty moving forward due to unresolved pain points. And the way to overcome it is to uh, seek closure. And that's why I'm suggesting the daily temperature reading and the weekly business meeting. Both of those are short, effective, tried and tested mechanisms to help people have open conversation where you can resolve lingering issues, and get closure on things that have been like a running sore for years. And often things that bothered people for years are things that they've maybe thrown out a flyaway comment, but they've never actually said, look, can we sit down and discuss this, and do the DESC, describe the situation, express how you feel, specify what you want or need, and just what the consequences are if it just carries on as it is. This is not about having big conflabs. It's about learning to keep the communication open and measured. So something else that helps with dissolving the tension around in the new year is, and especially January, is to foster a positive outlook. If you and your partner can actually intentionally set the intention to foster a positive mindset, and it can set the tone for the entire year, and it can definitely enhance relationship satisfaction, as opposed to, because a lot of people with the stress of the holiday, they kind of get a bit pessimistic, and the weather doesn't help, and they are a bit in the pits, and stressed and thinking, oh, it's going to be a year of it, this is awful. So once again, I would say practice gratitude journaling and share things that you're thankful for with your partner. It really lifts the mood. Alan and I share appreciation every morning, and we discuss all the things that we're thankful for. And it doesn't mean that there's never something that we're less than happy about, but mostly we're in a bubble of gratitude and appreciation. So the other thing that is really helpful is to start celebrating small wins, and role model this, when you're sat round the table with your children, as opposed to rushing about, got to get this over, and we're dashing off to the gym or somewhere after dinner, and oh come on, I want to get the dishes packed away. Just take a breath, pause, and allow everybody to acknowledge and celebrate their small wins. What little bit of progress was made today, no matter how minor, and it all helps to keep the family morale up. And I would really finally encourage you to, if you're not already doing it, to start the habit of journaling and writing in a nice journal, um, to keep track of all these things that I've discussed with you. So drop your comments below. Let me know, how did you find this helpful? And once again, please click like and become a subscriber. And let's hear how you get on with all of this. Bye for now.